What is going on, guys? Joey Franzo here with Flex Training Systems, and today I got a quick one for you. We're gonna get a quick little, hopefully 8 to 10 minute video talking about some deadlifting. Before we get into the deadlifting, I just wanted to announce for those of you that have been waiting, the second workshop ever is going to take place September 26th at 12:30 p.m. Los Angeles time. That's West Coast time. It's going to run for about 90 minutes to 2 hours. If you are interested, email flextsys@gmail.com. I will put that email, I'll pin it somewhere down in the comments. There's already a gazillion people that I have to, like, they emailed for the first one, and I need to hit them back. It's been a while. Maybe they don't want to do it. If you are, you might as well get in line now. I'm going to do my best to try to get more people in there. I'm scheduling this one a little bit farther out, so I think I'll be able to, fit everyone in. So that's September 26th. Basically, if you're unsure how it works, I email a bunch of people that are interested. I break everything down in the email. Once people send payment, then I send them a link that will allow them to get into a super secret Discord. And in which case, in that Discord, I'll go live and I'll do the presentation. The first time we did it, it went over really, really well. I was actually surprised at how everybody was super behaved. They knew to mute their mics, and everyone was quiet while I talked. And then they asked questions at the end. So it was great. It was a good experience. Super wholesome at the end of it. Everyone was able to take away a lot. Everyone, told me to charge more and stuff like that. So I try to make it affordable. If you are a Flex boy, you get a discount, a pretty considerable discount. So yeah, that is pretty much that. This is for people that want to learn. They want to learn more about programming. They want to understand the programming more. But I tell you how I do it. You know what I mean? This is the way that I do it. This is the way that I've done it. If somebody does it a different way, that's good for them. But you guys are here to learn from me. So September 26th, 12:30 Los Angeles time, making the announcement now. I'm going to be emailing the people that inquired about it already. And if you're just now emailing me telling me that you're interested, you might as well get it now, because if I got 60 people waiting, and you may not be as far away from getting in as you think, so might as well try. Do not email my IG email. Email the email in the comments. Now that that's out of the way, today we're going to talk about deadlifts. My favorite rep range for deadlifts. I think probably, arguably, and debatably the only rep range you ever need to use for deadlifts. I'm not saying to do this. I'm just saying you could, and I have experimented with it and it has worked before. But I absolutely feel like doubles and triples, mainly doubles, are probably, if I had to pick one rep range, even more than singles, doubles are going to be my favorite rep range. Why is that? Well, have you guys ever gone into the gym, whether it be mainly with deadlift? It's more exaggerated on deadlift, and you probably experience this on deadlift, but it can also work on bench. Maybe not so much squat. Sometimes squat. It really depends on the person. But you go in the gym and you're warming up for deadlift, and you're doing a set of 4, right? Set of 4, set of 3, whatever. And your first rep is kind of shit, right? It doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel good about it. But then your second rep feels way better, dramatically, 50% better than your first repetition. And then, your third rep is also really, really solid. And then maybe you start to degrade after that, right? Now, why is this? I think this happens because when you set up to pull your deadlift on your first rep, it's possible that you're not perfectly, centered. People have, imbalances, maybe if you're looking at the landmarks on the floor and on your bar, if you set up like perfectly even and you try to pull that way, maybe you might have one arm slightly longer than the other, one leg slightly longer than the other. A lot of times this happens with mixed grip. Maybe you set up with the bar too far in front of you or too close to you. So when you do that first repetition and you pull the bar off the ground, what happens is right when you break the floor, gravity is going to kind of straighten everything out, right? This is why sometimes if you see people deadlift, you'll see them break the ground and the bar might drift to the left, it might drift to the right, it might drift forward, it might come back into them. There's a lot of different things that can happen when you initiate a deadlift. That's why I think it's so important to kind of apply tension into the bar, pull slack out of it, brace really hard, and then push with the legs. You could kind of like get rid of some of that stuff out the gate, or you'll be tight enough to where those little screw ups don't really matter. But once you break the ground, now gravity is going to straighten you out. So you complete the first rep, boom, shoulders lock back, hips through, lock your knees, and then if you stay under control and you put the bar down, especially if you're on, maybe kilos, you're going to come straight down, and the bar's not really going to bounce around too much. And then when you begin your second repetition, it's already lined up perfectly, right? It's literally already lined up perfectly. It's right over, might be over the front. Like if you think of the knuckle of your index finger, but on your toe, on your big toe, the bar's right over there. It's aligned with the back of your armpit. You know what I mean? And everything is just locked in and perfect. Whatever imbalances there are, your body's going to kind of it's going to kind of get evened out, and it's going to pull as symmetrical as possible for like the way that you're gripping the bar. Like I said, some people have imbalances from mixed, and they don't, if you actually look at their hips, they actually pull kind of crooked, but it works for them because that's what they've been doing forever, right? So that second rep is going to be it's just going to feel so much better because you're starting from your optimal position, whereas off your initiation, it was harder for you to do this. I believe that in time, you can get better and better and better just watching yourself practicing to where your first rep is going to be as perfect as it needs to be. Most people start with the bar too close to them. Sometimes I've literally seen kids like have their the pull mixed grip, and the one hand will literally be an inch out from the other one, and I'm like, holy hell, man, you need to fix that. But the reason why I say that doubles are so valuable is because let's say you had to choose, you could only do doubles. You could structure your doubles pretty much all the time because how much fatigue can you really generate on doubles, assuming you're not maxing out or doing like RPE 9s, 9.5, stuff like that. You could probably do it pretty frequently, and you're always going to get really good technique work because you're working those doubles, you're working those triples. You know what I mean? You're finding your form. You're literally finding your form by allowing gravity to kind of do it for you, if that makes sense. Sometimes this can happen on squats and bench too. Maybe your first rep on bench kind of sucks, but then your second rep feels better. On squat, I've seen this with people also. They'll mistime their knees and their hips. That's a lot of people do this, where they'll get their knees will come forward way too fast, or their hips, they'll just be like all hips and they're not letting their knees come forward enough. But then on their second rep, they'll be like, okay, yeah, like I'm not doing this right. Let me break at the hips and knees evenly, like Joey's been saying for the last gazillion years, right? Then they get it right. So this can apply to the other ones as well. I think for some reason, like with squat, you're already like holding the weight is suspended on you, so you have a less chance of this happening, whereas with deadlift, you're starting from a complete dead stop. So you have, if you want to start screwed up, you probably get away with it, and then once you break the ground, you'll kind of see the bar drift where it wants to go. And then bench is kind of similar situation with squat. Can you do this year round? Yes. And I remember coming up in powerlifting, I was a big advocate of singles year round, and just because of like the past and the way that powerlifting was preached in the past, people would lose their mind at this concept because they'd be like, what? Singles year round? How can you do this? How can you max out year round? I don't understand the thought process. I understand, like, I get it, but I don't, because it's like, just because you have a single on paper doesn't mean it needs to be a max. In my opinion, you could do a single every time you train if it's RPE 5 to 6. I mean, what is your last warm up anyway? You know what I mean? So if you think of it from that perspective, you should be let my results with the team be your like confirmation that it is possible to lift in lower rep ranges with lower RPEs all the time. You could do this all the time, and it shouldn't mess you up, right? If you're working super high frequency, you're probably going to have a couple of those. If you bench 5 days a week, you're going to have 2 of those days that are probably going to be in your lower rep ranges, like under 5 reps, and you're doing it year round. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, in and out, but you guys get what I'm saying. So, I believe you can train doubles year round. You don't need to. Everyone's training can be, it's going to be individualized. It's going to be different. But I definitely have people, like if I had a secondary deadlift day and I want them to practice. And I want them to practice deadlift, or maybe I want to introduce sumo to them. We're gonna really work those doubles. We're gonna really work those triples. We're gonna keep the reps low. That way, we're focusing on technique. We're not letting their stamina kind of get burnt and taxed, so they can really focus on the actual movement and not so much, having to worry about like they're gonna find their form easier, if that makes sense. You're going to find your form easier on the deadlift, work in those lower rep ranges, keep the RPEs low. I cannot stress, and I just don't know why that low RPE work is so undervalued. It is so powerful, and it is so important to just understanding what it means to achieve technical mastery. Like if you can do this, you're going to just last so much longer in powerlifting, and you're going to get a lot more out of your stuff. So you can do doubles and triples year round. It just depends on how you structure it. I'm not saying everybody should do this. Some people don't even need to do this because I believe that the more advanced you are, you're going to have your technique is going to be so perfect and it's going to be ingrained into your identity, right? So it's not going to, you don't even know how to lift wrong because you've been doing it right the whole time. And this is why I always say it's very important. It's very important to always lift with good technique and don't let yourself get sloppy, because sometimes you might have one day where you lift with shit form and now you're going into every session doing this because for whatever reason something clicked in your head and you just forgot how to do it correctly. So it is possible to lift with lower reps and lower RPE year round, in my opinion. We've proven this with singles. We've done this with singles. And I've probably put more singles in people's programs than anyone that exists. I've always done them. I've always used them, and I actually don't like taking them out anymore. Even on deloads, I keep them in stupid light. So I encourage you guys, if you don't have a coach that is running this for you and you're just listening, then try it. Try to implement something like this. Put it on a low priority day. Maybe you have a rest day where you have you kind of restless. You just want to come in and practice. Work some doubles. I think doubles are solid. They can be solid for any lift, and it can really help. Just focus on your technique. Your muscles aren't going to get super fatigued, and you can really find your form. On doubles and triples. So. Quick video today. Thank you guys so much. I have a lot going on, so I couldn't really stream or make this longer. We have state championships this weekend, and then IPF Worlds right after, and then we'll see what we got going on the rest of the year. So thank you guys so much. If you made it this far, let me get a hashtag try it in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.